So I've been a tattoo artist for 2 years now, and I've been working for myself even prior to becoming a tattoo artist since 2016. And I just kind of wanted to talk about like my journey and how I was able to accomplish all of these things, even from being so young. Because in 2016, I was only like, what, 23 years old, and I was a single mom, and I'm a mom of two now. So I just want to talk about some of the things that kind of got me where I'm at. So I'm going to start all the way back to the beginning of my journey when I was 19 years old. This was 2013. I had just dropped out of college and I was just like, yeah, nothing in college was fulfilling me. I had studied psychology and that was cool. Switched my major to exercise science at one point. Right before I dropped out, I had switched my major to art, painting, and drawing, but I dropped out before I even started those classes. I came back to Columbus. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And one of my friends at the time was like, I don't understand like why you haven't just gone to like hair school or something. Like you do everybody's hair, you do everybody's makeup. Never occurred to me like you should go to school for this. So I enrolled at Aveda Institute, and that's where I ended up graduating from in 2016. Prior to graduating, though, I did end up getting a job at MAC Cosmetics, the counter, and I worked for MAC for about 2.5 years. I was a makeup artist. I was a freelance makeup artist, so sometimes I was hired for like photo shoots, things like that. And that's pretty much where I started off in the beauty industry, was makeup. It took me a while to graduate from hair school because in the middle of that I ended up pregnant. I had my baby, and I just took a little bit of time to myself before I got back into school to finish. Ended up finishing in 2016, and I got my cosmetology license. In the very first year with my license, I was doing hair. That's when I realized like hair is not for me. Like I love my hair and maybe I like doing my friend's hair, but doing this as a career is not going to be good for me because it's just not satisfying me. I also at that time had started branching out into other stuff, so like waxing and lashes. Lashes ended up sticking with me for a couple years. It was great money. It just bored the hell out of me. I needed to be able to express myself artistically, and I feel like lashes wasn't doing that, but lashes was paying the bills. So at this time, I'm still doing lashes. Wasn't doing hair anymore. Had let that go. Was still doing makeup, and I was getting more into YouTube. And some of you guys kind of remember me. I was doing like skincare videos. I was doing a lot of makeup videos. I had a different Instagram account at this time, and I was just kind of growing that. And I was working with brands like Becca and NYX and a bunch of other brands, and that was fun. But I ended up losing my Instagram account, and I lost that whole form of income like overnight. That was devastating to me, and it made me completely rethink being an influencer, because once I realized like if Instagram or YouTube or any of them decide to deactivate your account, you're pretty much fucked. Like, this is where I slightly started to transition into nails. Like I said, lashes was boring me. Makeup was, I live in Columbus, Ohio, and makeup was very lucrative on the weekends. Makeup wasn't making me enough money to sustain my type of living. So I somehow got into nails. Nails was an accident, but I was pretty much just learning to be able to do my own nails, and I started doing some of my friends, and I ended up liking it. I ended up being kind of naturally good at it, so I just kind of took off from there. Nails was my biggest money maker out of all of those. Nails never had a slow season for me. Always had clients, always had money coming in. I was great at it. I think I a little overachieved there, and I kind of like burnt myself out because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to tell people like, no, I'm not available today. I didn't know how to take breaks, and I burnt myself out on nails. Also ended up with carpal tunnel from that. So that's something to take into consideration if you're going to be working in an industry that causes you to use your hands a lot. Take precautions to protect yourself. I did not, and ended up with carpal tunnel. In 2022 is when I was pregnant with my son, and I was living in Houston, and I was already, over nails and trying to figure out what my next step would be. Was totally unsure as what I was going to do. Came back to Columbus so I can have my son and be with my family, and I also kind of wanted to figure out what was my next step. My boyfriend suggested that I try tattoos because he just thought I would be good at them, and it really wasn't on the forefront of my brain, but I'm like, and he surprised me with a tattoo kit, just one of the simple ones that you get off Amazon or whatever. And I had the kit for a little while. I wasn't really taking it serious. Started playing around, like practicing using the machine. all my family members doing little tiny tattoos. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is allowing me to be creative. Maybe I do kind of like this. And if you know me, then you know how obsessive I am. So eventually I became obsessive about tattoos, learning everything about them, kind of in private. I wasn't sharing to people yet that I was even trying to do that. In June of 2023, I had just had my son, and I had put out there that I was starting to do tattoos, and I was starting off with tiny tattoos. Tiny tattoos took off for me. Like, I feel like effortlessly, I just had people who were wanting to support me. I didn't have to like super promote myself to like get people in my chair and to give me a chance. And initially, I thought I would only do tiny tattoos. I really thought that my carpal tunnel would be a problem. So my focus in the beginning was tiny tattoos. As time went on, and I realized like, okay, the high quality machines aren't hurting my hands, I started piquing more interest in like bigger, tattoo pieces and sessions, and wanting to expand as an artist. That has pretty much led me to where I am now. I've worked in a couple tattoo shops, and now I have my own private studio where it's just me. And I really like that. I like that I'm able to like, create my own schedule. I'm able to spend more time with my kids. I still make enough money to pay all my bills and everything. And it's just a learning process with the tattoos, and also just how to market yourself, because tattoos is totally different than anything else I have tried. As far as like, people are always going to come get their nails done, people are always going to come get their hair done. People don't always come to get tattoos. They got to be inspired artistically to come see you and get a tattoo. So the marketing there is a little bit different, and I've been learning over time. But I'm really saying all this to say is that you could do anything you want to do. You can do literally anything. I've always believed in myself. I always believed that I can learn anything. And I know that I have like that kind of obsessive mindset that will push me to learn. But like, as long as you want it bad enough and you're willing to learn and you're willing to put yourself out there, you can do anything that you want. I say that because there's a lot of people that are struggling with their 9 to 5. There's a lot of people who don't have a 9 to 5 or a trade, and they're struggling to make ends meet, maybe doing things they aren't supposed to do. And you don't have to live like that. You can, if you don't want to work a 9 to 5, you don't have to. If you don't want to be in the streets doing, whatever it is that you're doing, you don't have to do that. You can make a way, and there's so many different ways to make money out here. And I truly believe that everybody is creative. Everybody has the capability of becoming whatever they want and creating an avenue that works for them. It's just all about the mindset, really. It really does come down to your mindset. So this is really just the first part of my story, me just telling you how I got where I'm at. But if you were looking for inspiration, ideas, or a little bit of help on, maybe what you should do, I am going to do a part 2 on like how you can find that passion. There's ways that you could go about it and ways that you can change your thinking to get you there. But just come back for part 2.